Hello everyone and welcome. It's Alexandra and I'm very glad to be back on YouTube with today's video. I'm not a big fan of long breaks between the videos. I also feel that I'm losing my audience every time I stop posting consistently, but you know, life happens. The month of April has been quite busy in general, full of various family errands and my kids after school activities. In addition, besides paper crafting, I have other hobbies and they consume more time than I think they would when I dive into this or that project, which is not related to the world of paper. I like to collect typewriters, mostly antique and mostly portable. I have about 10 typewriters in my collection, and every time I get a new typewriter, it needs to be cleaned and worked on. I get distracted very fast from digital kits and dedicate my time to typewriters whenever I have a free moment. I have also become a fan of antique Singer sewing machines lately. I purchased several inexpensive and antique Singer machines off of Facebook Market. They were cheap for a reason. They were dusty, rusty, gunky, and required maintenance work to be brought back to life. And I really loved getting to know those machines better by taking them apart, cleaning, polishing, oiling, and of course, putting them back together. I'm just a beginner. I'm not recovering them with a new layer of paint. I'm not changing the gorgeous decals on them, but every machine that I have in my collection now is fully functional and clean. That's, in a nutshell, what I have been doing lately. Other than all that, I have created a new digital kit and a freebie that we will work on today. But before we begin, I would like to dedicate just a few more minutes to one more thing. I desperately need to free some room on my shelves. And I decided to let go of some of the journals that I created within the last couple of years. Most of the journals have digitals from Tracy Fox and other digital creators. Some journals were very much inspired by Wendy from Wendy's Journal Adventures. One journal here is almost naked, as they call it. And all of these journals are listed in my Etsy and also have a quick silent video flip throughs that you can watch if you're interested in any of them. I want to thank you all for your support and interest in my work. Let me just quickly show you each one of the journals and their covers. That's the first one. It has some flips and flaps on both sides of the cover and also some printed pages in the center. Then I have this journal with the curved spine and some ridges on the spine. There is a puffy frame on the front cover with the butterfly on it, and there are lots and lots of pages inside with various ephemera and various types of papers, some book pages, some printed ephemera, pockets, and so on. Everything that we like so much in the journals. Then I also have a journal that looks like this. I really like the floral spine, which has been created with some canvas fabric. And there are some dangles, of course, on the spine to add character to this journal. There is a label that was created with the layer of leather, genuine leather. And I have also stitched the word journal on top of it. And this is a very, very quick flip through of how this journal looks inside. This thing is inspired by Wendy. Next, we have this journal. I love its cover, and it's a padded cover. Between the layer of fabric and the chipboard cover itself, there is a layer of fleece that makes the cover feel very nice, soft, and cozy. There are some dangles on the spine, some added leather bands on the spine, and they are also secured with the brads. That's the closure. I have added some genuine leather on the tips of the ribbon to make sure that it doesn't fray. And this journal is mostly naked. There are not a lot of stamped or stenciled elements on its pages. There is not a lot of ephemera pieces added to this journal, but it has lots and lots of space for writing, and I like it as much as other journals. Then this journal has the widest spine of all, and it also has lots of pages. It has metal filigree elements on the spine that go along with the leather bands on the spine as well. There are some metal filigree pieces on the front cover, and a metal plate in the back. And as you can see, there are lots and lots and lots of pages that you can keep on journaling on, and you can keep on adding your tags and pockets and cards and whatnot. This journal has lots of room for that. There is a lot of stitching that I have done here as well, and I hope that whoever gets this journal will like it. And then the last journal is this one. It has a stitched genuine leather spine that looks like this. It's a little bit narrower than all the previous journals that I have shown you. Look, that's the difference between the two sizes. It has also quite a lot of pages, and that's how the front cover looks like. It has some gold splitters. That's the back of the cover. All of my journals basically have a hollow spine for easier opening them and writing in them. This journal is not an exception, and it has various embellishments on the pages. There are various cards with dry leaves and flowers in it. There are tags. Everything has been collaged on and layered, and there are various interesting elements that you can look at in this journal. Of course, it has lots of space for writing, and once again, I will not flip through all of its pages because it has a separate, quiet, with no music and no talking flip through that you can find in the listing of this journal in my Etsy store. So that's the updates and some catching up that I wanted to do with all of you. Now let's get to the new digital kit. I will free some room here on my table, and we will dive right into it. The name of the kit is Pop-Up Floral Envelopes, and the number of it is 35. The kit includes 14 pages. There are 10 pages with the pop-up envelopes themselves, and additional 4 pages are dedicated to the box that you can make for storing all of your pop-up envelopes. And then the 15th envelope will be available as a freebie on my Ko-fi page. In general, all the links will be in the description box below this video, so please be sure to check it out. That's the box that I have already assembled, and this is how the front of the box looks like. I have added an envelope with the flowers on the lid and popped it on the foam tape for the added dimension. You don't have to do that, but I have included the envelope with the flowers and also these two labels in the kit as the elements for fussy cutting. But you can also have the lid completely flat, just like that. That's how the bottom of the box looks like. That's how it looks like on the sides. Then when you open the lid, that's the inside of the lid, and that's the inside of the box's base. Okay, and then here are the pop-up envelopes themselves. So you will ask, what is that? And here is how each one of the envelopes looks like. This is the pop-up envelope that can also be completely flat, but if you pull by this tab or just unfold it, it becomes dimensional. And there are only like 3 layers or 2 layers, depends on how you look at that. You will understand that a little bit later. And there is also a journaling card or a tag for each one of the envelopes that can be stored inside. Now, my main idea when I created this kit was to have something interesting on the page. We all like interesting stuff on the pages. So let me show you an example. Here I have a page with one of the envelopes that I have assembled. So when you close the pages of the journal, this pop-up envelope is completely flat between the pages, but when you flip through the journal and get to the page with the envelope, you can just pull by the tab and it will pop up. It will pop up like that, and it's really interesting to have an element like this in your album. The tag is tucked behind the base of the envelope, and it's just an additional journaling spot for you to play with. You can create a note and put it in there. So this envelope is actually the very first one that I have created, and I also printed it on a thin regular printing paper. That's why it was a little bit hard for me to put the tag back inside its place. I do recommend to use at least a 65-pound paper for printing that digital kit, and then you will not have that issue. But yeah, that's how the dimensional pop-up envelope looks like. In case you purchase the kit, you will have 5 envelopes that will be glued down on the right hand side of the page if the design of the page requires that. And you will also have 5 envelopes that will be glued down on the left hand side of the pages. And let me quickly show you just all of the designs of the envelopes and flowers. You will also see that on some of my envelopes here, since these were mostly prototypes, not all of the tags have the added elements on them. They're at the top, so they look kind of blank, and I changed that a little bit later. So in the kit, all of your tags will have this design rather than be empty there at the very top. So we have 5 for the right hand side of the pages and 5 more for the left hand side of the pages. And to which side each envelope pops up, actually you decide when you add the pull tab to them. Since there were empty spots on the pages when I designed them, of course I wanted to fill them with something, so you will have these additional floral envelopes. They're just flat, nothing special, but I thought that you could use them in your other projects. And there is also one empty label, which is the same shape as the one that I have here in the back. And you can, if you don't like what this label says, you can just create a label of your own with maybe your information on it, with a certain number or sentiment or anything else that you would want to put in there. So that's the kit. And then the page with the freebie that I included for all of you to play with and that you can download from my Ko-fi looks like this. Instead of only flowers, it also has this beautiful owl, some labels, and the design of the tag that goes behind the pop-up envelope is also a little bit different. So I will show you how to assemble the box, and then since all of the envelopes will have to be assembled in the very same way, I will show you only one of the envelopes, how to put it together, and I'm sure you will be able to deal with the rest of the pages. I have not printed all of the designs of the envelopes, as you can understand, but you can have a look at all of them in the Etsy listing. The link to it will be, as usual, in the description below. I think we will begin with building up the envelope, and then we will move on to building the box. We will assemble this envelope from the freebie, and for cutting everything out, I do like to use just a ruler and a small craft knife. You are welcome to use scissors if you want to, but I find that these tools are the best for certain designs of the digitals, and this is one of those designs. I will start by cutting along the long edge of the envelope base, and I will also cut out the tag along the straight lines. I can cut it with the craft knife. Be careful when you cut this corner out because it's very close to another element on our page. So just pay attention up to where exactly you cut with the knife or with the scissors. And then I will just use my scissors for trimming the rounded corner at the top. So our tag is now ready, and for cutting out the label, I can just use my scissors, and then I can use a 1-inch circle punch for punching out the label with an owl. Let's get back to the rest of the elements that we have on our page. I can also use the same punch for punching out the tab that says pull. I can get rid of the paper that I no longer need on my page and get back to my ruler and a craft knife. We will cut out now 2 of these elements. Please do not separate the flap that you see here. And instead of that, just take your ruler and line it up with the outer edge of the flap and with the line that goes right here. next to the side of the envelope. You will be able to do it with no problem. And then you will cut from the edge of the envelope base up to the edge of the paper right here. Then on this side, we basically need to do the same thing. I'm lining up the ruler with the edge of the flap right here, and also with the line, a very, very faint white line that goes between the base of the envelope and its side. So let's line the ruler up against that edge first, and now have a look. We have this element on our way, so when I cut from there up to the edge of the paper on this side, I will just make sure that I leave the elements of the owl or the flowers that you will have here intact. And then I will just use my craft knife to roughly cut around them and have something like this. Next, I will rotate the paper and line up the ruler with the edge of the base of the envelope, and also cut up to the corner so that I can separate that paper piece. And from this corner up to the element that we have here. Okay, now we can just put these two elements aside. We will get back to them later, and we will keep on working with the element that we have on the paper in front of us. I will cut off the white paper excess close to the flap, and I will also use the ruler and the craft knife to trim around the envelope base along the straight edges of it, like so. If you are not very confident with using the ruler and the craft knife, you can also use scissors at any point. Just remember that. I will use the scissors for trimming the rounded edges where I need to do that. And that will be our envelope base. Now we will have to fold the flap onto the base, and for doing that I will just flip the whole piece to this side, the white side, and then I will line up the corners of the triangular flap with these corners on the white paper layer. Okay, so two of these corners will be lined up with those corners, just like so. And then while holding everything with your fingers, you will make sure to crease this fold right here, and everything at this point will look like that. Quite weird for now, but it will start to get shape in a second. You will now take your glue and apply it to this section, which is the back of our flap. And I'm not applying the glue everywhere because I can see against the light. Well, you will not be able to see that this area is actually blank, so it doesn't require any glue. We only need to glue down the flap, because now when it is glued down to the base of our envelope, I will get back to my ruler and a craft knife, and I will trim along the straight edge of the flap from the top to the corner, And then I will do the same on the opposite side of the flap. From the corner, right now I'm cutting towards the bottom of the paper piece. And this is how it will look like. And then you will only need to use your scissors and round the top. The paper edges of the folded flap will serve as your guide as for folding the sides of your envelope. Make sure that you fold close to the edge of the paper on this side, but also that you look at the bottom edges and make sure that they line up there as well. And then we will do the same on this side. So I'm folding very close to the edge of the folded paper layer on this side, but also I'm looking at the bottom edge of both of the paper layers, and then holding everything in place with my fingers, I use a bone folder and burnish on top. Okay, so this is how it looks so far. We need to create another score line right here along the white, very faint line that you have next to the side of your future pop-up envelope. And for creating a fold there, I'm first going to use my needle tool and a ruler, and I will just score a line there. When I score a line with the needle tool, I don't hold the needle tool like that. I hold it at an angled position to the surface and try not to scratch the paper with the sharp point of the needle tool, but just to create a fold like that. And then you can keep your ruler in place and just fold the paper with your bone folder and then burnish it on top once again to make sure that everything is creased and folded nicely. Do the same on the opposite side. And this is how your envelope will look like right now. At this stage, I like to take my inking tool and just ink around the edges. We will set this aside for now because there are a few more elements that we need to cut out. And again, just look at the printable, which is in front of you. Wherever you see the straight edges, just go ahead and use your ruler and a craft knife to cut along those. And for the rest, I'm going to use my scissors. I'm going to cut up to the beige outline around the image on this side, and then I will cut the image out following that beige outline. And in a similar way, I will cut around these additional flowers. And this is what you're going to have. Don't forget to ink around the edges of all of your cut out elements. Now we are ready to assemble our envelope. I will take the base and I will take the tab and the piece that looks like this. On this paper element, we will need to fold the side flaps, and I will just use my needle tool again for scoring a line there between the narrow flap and the rest of the paper piece. Okay, now we are going to take the tab and also decide on which side the tab should be. It depends pretty much on the side of the page that you are going to glue your envelope onto. I think I have more of the ephemera glued down onto the right hand side of the pages. So I'm actually going to glue the tab onto the right hand side of the envelope as well. I'm going to put the tab on top of the envelope, somewhere in the center along this line right here, this one. And I am going to use a pencil and create dots at the top of the tab and at the end, right on the white fold line. And now I have to cut a slit in there using those 2 dots as my guides. Don't forget to unfold your envelope when you do that, to make sure that you don't cut through unnecessary paper layers. So I have put the tab through that cut slit, and I have to just add some glue to the white area of the tab. Doesn't have to be a lot of glue, just enough to hold it in place. Okay, this is how it will look like. And now I will take this piece and I will unfold the flap for now, and I will position it with the flap unfolded inside the envelope. I will make sure that the edges, the bottom edges of both of the paper pieces line up. And I will also make sure that the edge of the flap on the right hand side reaches all the way into the fold of the envelope's base. Okay, once I have everything in place, I keep everything there with my fingers, and I apply the glue onto the thin flap only and cover it with the part of the envelope on this right hand side. And what it makes, it just glues this middle paper element to the base of our envelope. Now we will have to do the same on the opposite side. And let's make sure that we unfold the tiny flap. Here we have everything glued down, and what's left is only to apply the glue onto this flap on the left hand side. You don't have to push everything in or measure anything, just make sure that the bottom edge is still lined up. Cover the area with the glue with the flap on the left hand side of the envelope. And now your almost assembled envelope will look like this. That's the bottom. Okay, now play with the envelope just a little bit, be gentle, and make sure that it folds easily in both directions. Okay, use your bone folder if you need to. You can decide if you want the envelope to be closed like that or like that, and whichever direction is better for you, just add some glue and glue it down. Okay, that's how it looks like so far. Now your additional layer with the flowers will have to be glued down inside the envelope like so. Every envelope is a little bit different because of how the flowers look like. On this one, I actually think that I will glue it down so that I can see a bit of that beige background showing. And then I will just make sure to cover it with the label on top. And then I can add this label somewhere on the side. And the tag will go inside the envelope. But when you glue everything onto your page, you can see that you don't have a lot of room to apply the glue onto. So if your tag will go inside like so, apply a very, very thin line of glue along 3 sides of the envelope base. Let me do that together with you. I will find a page that I want to glue my envelope onto, and this will be the right hand side of the page because we have the pull tab on the right hand side as well. So I'm going to apply a very, very thin line of glue right there along 3 edges, something like that. And then I will position the envelope where I want it to be. Make sure I use my bone folder for burnishing. Okay, and then I will add the tag inside. And this is how it will look like. I really like the result, and I think it adds a nice touch to this page in a journal. And this is how you're going to assemble the rest of the envelopes in the kit. I hope you will enjoy playing with the freebie. Let's move on to the elements of our box. That's the lid and some of those floral envelopes for you to use in any other makes of yours that I mentioned. Then this is the base of the box. These are some matting pieces, and then here we have 2 elements that will form additional sides of the box's base. Let's begin with the lid. Again, I'm using my ruler and a craft knife. I will not stop on these floral envelopes right here because I'm sure you will know what to do with them, so I'm just going to cut them off and concentrate my attention on this piece right here. Let's cut it out all the way around like so. Next, I'm going to line up my ruler along the edges of these red flaps at the top and at the bottom, just like so. Okay, I'm making sure that I'm covering their edges on this side with the ruler, and then I'm going to cut along the edge of the ruler from the top there to the corner next to this beige flap, and then from the corner of the beige flap at the bottom to the edge of the paper. And this is how it will look like. Let's do the same on the opposite side. And this is what you're going to have. Now I am flipping the paper piece so that I can cut along the next area. And here I will cut up to the beginning of the beige flap. Don't cut it off. And at the bottom I'm cutting from the corner of this tiny beige flap to the edge of the paper so that I can have a straight cut line next to the future side wall of the lid. Let's do the same on the opposite side. Okay, if you wonder, this is how the reverse side looks like. Now I think I'm just going to use my scissors and cut out the rest of the areas. So I'm trimming the white triangular sections next to the beige long flaps of our future lid. And I'm also trimming the paper next to those flaps. that will help us to assemble the lid and keep it together. Okay. Basically, all the white paper sections that you see will have to be cut off. And this is the result. Now we need to score some lines that will help us to fold the lid and assemble it easier. All the white lines between the elements of the lid will need to have a score line. So I'm using my ruler and the needle tool for doing that. Okay, for example, on this side, I have already scored the lines, and now I can fold on this side. Also the flaps. So it will look like this. By the way, the beige flap will have to be refolded in the opposite direction, like so, on each one of the 4 sides. Now let's try to assemble the lid. For doing that, I am going to use score tape. You can use liquid glue as well, but I think with score tape it will just be easier. So I am going to apply pieces of score tape right along the beige flaps. And my tape here is 3/8 inch wide. I think 1/4 would be better, but I just don't have it handy at the moment. So pieces of tape right there. Try to stay as close to the fold line as possible when you apply the tape or apply the liquid glue, because when you assemble everything, those corners need to look nice, and if you will not have enough of glue right in the corner, the lid will try to fall apart. Okay, now let's start to assemble. I will take off the backing from one of the pieces of score tape, and I will form a nice looking angle right here. Use your bone folder to burnish on top of that score tape. Let's do the same in this corner. And you know the drill. We'll do the same on the opposite sides. The next thing that we are going to do is we're going to apply liquid glue to both of these areas here. So one, so to say, wall of the box's lid and onto the flap. And just fold this in like so, and use your bone folder to burnish. Make sure that when you fold, you attach the inside panel to the outside paper panel, that they're really tight and the flap goes right into the fold on each one of the sides. So I'm going to repeat the process with all of the remaining flaps. I created a box to go with the envelopes because I thought it could be a nice way to store them. And also if you want, for example, to use the envelope, only one envelope, as a holder for a gift card, but just a card on its own, that you might want to have a gift box to go along with that. Okay, so our lid is now assembled. Let's take the matting piece from the paper that looks like this. I'm going to cut it out, and it will go inside the lid like so. It will also reinforce it better. The lid is assembled. Let's move on to the base of the box. The way of cutting it out and assembling it is pretty much the same. I'm going to line up my ruler against the right hand edge of the box's base and cut along that edge up to the flaps. Do not cut the flaps off. We need them. And I think we have a guest. Hi, Chloe. Have you been sleeping? Okay, let's cut along this edge now. The same way, just make sure that you don't cut off the side flaps. Okay, now I can just cut here and here. And also cut along the flaps of our future box's base. I will use my scissors for trimming off the additional elements that I do not need at the moment. I'm going to get rid of all the white paper. This is how the box's base will look like. You're going to use the same technique and work with the ruler and your needle tool for scoring between the panels of the future box. The flap will have to be folded like so on both sides. Okay, this is how the base of the box will look like, and we definitely need some more panels for the left and the right hand side of our box's base, and they are right here. So let me cut them out. And create score lines, just like you did before. One of the flaps will be folded this way and another one that way. So they will basically fold one on top of another. Please do use your bone folders while you work on this project. It will really help to get your box to look nice. We are going to glue down these panels onto our box next, and I think that I will glue them down to the very bottom of the box's base like so. So I'm going to apply the glue to this flap right here, and that's the flap that folds like so and not like so. As you can see, it folds in and not up. Okay, so I have applied the glue to that section of the flap, and now I'm just going to glue it down on top and position it between the top and bottom little flaps. And this is how it will look like. Do the same on the opposite side. You will use your white lines on the printed paper pieces as your guides. And this is what you should have at this point. From here, we can cut out this piece for the box's base. Ink around the edges and glue it right here while centering the piece on top of the main paper layer. Now let's get back to our score tape again, and I will apply the score tape right next to the folds of each one of the flaps, as close to the folds as possible, but trying, of course, not to overlap the next printed section of the paper. Let's try to assemble one of the corners. I'll remove the backing from the tape and add just a bit more glue where I don't have the tape. Let's start to form the corners. So from here, everything will be assembled in the same manner in which we assembled the lid of our box. And the only difference is that I am adding a bit of wet glue to each one of the flaps next to the score tape. Make sure you form nice straight corners and don't forget to burnish. For the convenience of working with all the paper layers, you can just unfold the panels of the box towards the outside so that it's easier for you to work on the flaps. I use the art glitter glue. It dries pretty fast, and also I don't want to apply too much glue because it can just warp the paper, and it's not what we're looking for. So don't apply too much, but just enough to keep the layers together. Okay, and fold this in all the way to the bottom. Make sure that you tuck that fold right in place and burnish on top. And then we need to glue down the side panels that will cover the flaps. We have this piece right here that will be glued down on the inside. When you glue this piece down onto the inside of the box, don't forget to check in which direction you glued down the previous piece on the outside. Our box is now ready. We only need to ink the edges. That's it. The lid will go on top. It fits snug and nice on top of the box's base. You have all the labels and various floral flat envelopes to fussy cut and put inside your box for using them later on other projects. some labels for you to use. There are also some empty labels that you can use for stamping anything you want. Let me put one of the assembled pop-up envelopes inside the box just so I have something in there to show you. And getting back to the lid of the box, I have used this additional floral envelope. It will be the largest one from the ones that you have left on the pages. So it's the largest one right here. You can cut it out and just back it with some foam tape and glue it on top of the lid, and then use the labels and also pop them up a little bit in the same way so that all of it looks nice and more dimensional. I have also used some ink of Stella on some of the flowers. I don't know if the camera picks that up, but it's there. You can use glossy accents. You can use some rhinestones to embellish your box further. In the back, you can also just use the elements for gluing them down on top so that it's more layered, or you can leave it flat and plain as it is right now. Anyway, that's all from me for today. I know this video turned out to be quite long. I didn't really plan it, but at the same time, I do hope that you enjoyed working with the freebie and assembling the box. You can find the kit in my Etsy store, as well as the journals that I have showed you in the beginning of the video. I appreciate your likes and comments. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments below as well. And I hope to be back here soon and wish all of you a good rest of your day. Bye!